Welcome to Daily Devotion with Ken Gurley. Devotions designed to inspire you on your daily walk with God. Here's your host, Ken Gurley.
Hey, good Wednesday morning to each and every one of you. Thank you for being a part of our daily devotion family. We are returning to our roots. This began with 21 days of prayer and fasting, and that's what we're doing to kick off the new year and in the midst of 21 days right now. That's however you interpret, not so much as the prayer, but as far as the fasting, how you choose to do it. Daniel fast, hate that fast, tofu. Someone tried to convince me one time, Kenneth, honestly, on a Daniel fast, that tofu sausage was okay. I will tell you this about tofu sausage. Tofu sausage is about as appetizing as you think it is. Yes. As we would say in the South, I'd pert near rather die than to eat tofu. Okay, all right, I'm off of that. It was a 21-day prayer and fasting. We're right in the midst of it. Tonight is our first Wednesday night prayer meeting of 3 successive prayer services, and looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing everyone that's there. Good to see you here today. Just get that tofu sausage completely out of your mind. I mean, vanquish it from your mind. It is awful. That is exactly right. Oh, heal our land. What a beautiful, beautiful phrase. Heal our land. You remember the setting. Solomon set out to meet God. It was early in his reign. He had offered 1,000 sacrifices in a single day to God at Gibeah. And God came to Solomon in a dream that night after that sacrifice, promised him wisdom, long life, prosperity, influence. Well, years later, Solomon built God a house. And he prayed a prayer of dedication, asked God, watch over this place. He offered 22,000 oxen, 120,000 sheep to God. Had to have been exhausting. Prayed a magnificent prayer to dedicate the temple. You remember the glory of God came in. And that night again, God came to Solomon and made him a promise. About that prayer. I heard it. I heard that prayer of dedication. And I just want to tell you something. If I shut up the heaven, and there be no rain, and if I command the locusts to devour the land, and if I send pestilence among my people, if my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven. I will forgive their sin. And that last phrase, and yes, I will heal their land. To those when you study the biblical history, you would have to say that pretty much every promise, commandment of that covenant people was attached to the land. God promised things involving the land. And those people that lived in the Old Testament days were largely agrarian. And to these farmers and shepherds, a sick land meant tough times. And God said, if you pray, I'll heal the land. I love that. I will heal the land. I know that's Old Testament. I know that deals with the physical land. But when we look at the spiritual landscape of our day, and I think in this opening first full week of January, in this season of 21 days of prayer and fasting, I want to do what I can to stir up your pure remembrance. I say absolutely nothing new on daily devotion, nothing new under the sun. all I do is just remind you of what we already know. And maybe it will trigger a memory, and maybe it will trigger a behavior and a response. I believe the Spirit-filled church. This is Dave, Linda, this is my personal belief. You don't necessarily have to coincide with my belief. I believe that what keeps this world from slipping into the abyss is the Spirit-filled believer. That's what I believe. The Spirit-filled church. And until that restraining force is taken from this world, then it keeps back the night. It heals the land. If the church ever gets relaxed, comfortable, then the restraining force is removed. Political scandals all around us, shootings on campuses. We've got Amber Alerts to protect children. We got politicians being sworn in by the Quran. We got sports figures, pop singers, actors guilty of the vilest of actions. We've got the church world just rocked with all sorts of abuse scandals. I think the land is barren. This land is polluted. If God heard the cry of the innocent Abel's blood from the ground, how much more does he hear the cry from the land today? We've got disasters. We've got storms of immense proportion. We have fires breaking out. Here along the Gulf Coast, I talk to a lot of churches, a lot of pastors, and what we're seeing is churches nearly going out of business because of skyrocketing property insurance rates. And churches struggling, aging pastors, aging congregations, disconnected from the community. None of this went unprophesied. How's that? None of this went unprophesied. In Luke 17, we read of the distress of nations, the roaring of the seas. Have we seen it? Yes, we have. We've got bridges collapsing, federal buildings being destroyed. Wow. Airplanes. I read that article about that airplane, Malaysia, disappearing. These are days of concern. These are days where the earth itself is groaning for its redemption. We're living in that moment, in that time. We've seen one supposed godly figure after another fall. We've seen once mega churches look like ghost towns today. We have spiritual leaders, faith leaders, confessing to all sorts of vile things. And but for the grace of God, we would all be there. We've seen church organizations, denominations rocked by scandals. What's happening? There is a shaking in this world today. And the shaking has come. We're living in a land of skeptics. We're living in a land where people hear of signs and wonders, but they don't see them. They doubt whether any of it is real. We have heard, "Thus saith the Lord," for so many years, and the credibility is lacking. The sterling quality of character is missing. Words no longer have weight. No wonder some churches don't even bother to have an altar call at the end of service. You know what? The world doesn't need another big building. The world doesn't need another glitzy auditorium. When our land is sick, our land is crying out for someone who knows how to get a prayer through skies that seem like brass. The land is seeking someone who can speak the word in faith, who can look at the forces Look at the forces. And we wrestle not against flesh and blood. But look at the spiritual forces that are coming against us and say, in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. These are not times to play with grace. This is not time to be on the fringe. I would hate to be on the fringe. I would hate to be letting my love for God wax 1 degree cooler at this time. This is no time to be in a spiritual playground. It's no time to be on a pseudo-combat field. The writer of Hebrews said, we receive a kingdom which cannot be moved. Let us have grace, serve God acceptably with reverence and godly fear. Reverence. Godly fear. I read an article years back on what God's calling us to do. And the writer, after studying spirit-filled movements for many, many years, he said there's 4 things that each of us needs to do. And I hope I'm stirring up something inside of you right now. I know I'm stirred. I'm stirred. This morning I've just been stirred praying about this. He said there's 4 things we need to do. He said, first of all, we need to return to the fear of God. How many times have I stood in services and heard someone say from the platform, let's all stand, and a third of the congregation remains seated? Oh yeah, I've been there. I've been there. It says, well, let's gather at the altar and watch a quarter of the congregation not move 1 inch. I remember ministering in one place, and God's Spirit was really moving, and the altar call was about to be given, and I asked everyone to stand, and that triggered something in that congregation. Half the congregation, it seemed, just started grabbing their purses, Bibles, and things, packing up, laughing and talking, and started making their way to the exit. Why do we come to church if we don't fear God? Why do we just come to be entertained? Is this the first church of the itching ear? Do we just want to have our ears tickled? Do we want to look around and say we're better than anybody else sitting around here? No. I gather, even on daily devotion, I gather expecting to hear something from God. Expecting that someone's life is going to be changed. Not about me, not about mine, not about impressing. I want to walk in the fear of the Lord. Wow. This means, Helen, walking in the fear of the Lord means to me, we stop playing games with grace. We all need grace. We require grace. There's no way we're saved without grace. We walk daily in grace. But it's what our forefathers used to call presumptuous sin. This is playing a game with grace. It was saying, I'm going to go ahead and do this because God will forgive me. Which being interpreted means God doesn't care what I do. Doesn't care what I say. Doesn't care where I go. Doesn't care who I hang out with. We need to return to walking in the fear of God. To realize our God is a consuming fire. He's not my 4-leaf clover. He's not my lucky rabbit's foot. Whom God loves, he chastens. One day God will say, I love you, but I've had enough with this attitude, this behavior. Yeah. I've watched you. I've turned my head here. There was a day that I winked at ignorance, but not any longer. I've listened to your judgmentalism. I listened to your gossiping, your critical tongue. I've listened to all I'm going to listen to. Had enough. I'm going to let this web of deceit and false security that you've woven just collapse. Wow. I'm not perfect, never have been, never will be in the sense of how we define perfection. I don't want to brag about my faith. But neither do I want to get up and brag about how weak I am and all about the terrible things that I do or have done. I don't want to lose the favor of God. Favor will open the doors of God. We need to fear God. Return to a fear of God. Here's the second thing. We need to return to integrity, purity in the church, in our lives. Where does that start? I believe it starts with prayerfulness. There's no excuse for prayerlessness. Do you know, I have preached hundreds of messages, taught hundreds of lessons on prayer. And can I say that I've talked about it more than I've seen people enact it in their life? People have time to do whatever they want to do. They have time to go play racquetball, go play pickleball. I haven't done that. Debbie, you know, if I can't play tennis or racquetball, I just don't want to play pickleball. Anyway, okay, I'm back to that. We have time for our magazines. We have time for our novels. We have time to go here, go there. Have time to be couch potatoes. We have no time for the closet of prayer. You cannot have integrity and purity in your life without getting connected to the voice of God. Find that voice of God. Get in there. Get in there. I'll never forget Tessie and I, when we were in the midst of building the church originally there on Broadway, and we were looking for, some furnishing or something. We found ourselves in downtown Houston, and we were at a business that sold this, and we heard a lot of activity, but no one ever came out. Nobody ever came out to attend to us and wait on us. We were ready to buy something, and nobody would wait. But I kept hearing noise, and I looked around behind the counter, behind a drape, and I saw about 10 or 15 men who had stretched out their prayer rugs, faced Mecca, and began to call on Allah. I have been on airplanes when Muslims will get down between the seats of the plane and orient themselves, or at least attempt to, face Mecca. And I've watched them go through their routines and rituals, and I've wondered, if they can do this, how much more should we who serve the true and living God get in touch with Him? We got to get back to prayer, because without prayer we have no integrity, we have no purity in the church. We are different people. We're the called out ones. We're the chosen generation, the royal priesthood, a peculiar people, a holy nation. When Solomon prayed that prayer, heal our land. Remember, the promise for healing came through prayer. I love that passage in Hosea, come, let us return to the Lord. He's torn, but He'll heal us. He's smitten, but He'll bind us up. After 2 days, He will revive us. And the third day, He will raise us up, and we shall live in His sight. Return to integrity and purity through prayerfulness. Can I give you two more things to heal the land? Return to an outreach mindset. When I grew up in this thing, we were taught to knock doors. Okay, now you either love knocking doors, you hate knocking doors. No, let me hold it. Let me just say it like this: you either dislike knocking doors but do it anyway, or you dislike knocking doors and you never do it. Okay, I don't want to say you loved knocking doors, but we did. We had track racks. You remember those in the church? Track racks. Everybody was encouraged to grab some tracts on your way out, hand them out. Well, it's what changed so many lives. Changed so many lives. My father-in-law is, what is he, 96? He'll be 97 in April. When he was feeling his call to the ministry, he had worked at where my wife and I worked years later, combustion engineering, and it was over a shop floor, and he was feeling his call to the ministry. And I remember I loved him to tell the story. He was going to see his brother in Florida, and as he was leaving, he grabbed his briefcase, because all ministers carried briefcases back then, and he filled it with apostolic tracts. And that day that he was headed to Florida, that plane was hijacked to Cuba. And while in Cuba, he handed out all those tracts. Wow. Are you a contagious Christian? Do you get out and touch people's lives? This land needs somebody sowing seed. This land needs somebody weeping over the souls of men. Are we unscarred, unscathed, untarnished? No. We need to let people know our God is real. Real. We need this. We need to get an outreach mindset. Number four, 90 days. And we need to return to the concept that the one who created this land can heal this land. That he can send a healing. He can send awakening. We're in a world shaken. Shaken by the economy, shaken by the demise of public trust, shaken by public turmoil. God is wanting to wake up our land. I believe that. I believe we don't determine the seasons of great harvest. They're in the hands of the Lord of the harvest. But we may be entering into a day of harvest that's so plenteous that the reapers will overtake the plowman. I love that promise in Amos 9. That God is doing something. There has to be something in our heart that rises up and says, I want this. I want this. Pray. Cry out as never before. Call on the Lord. That sinners would be convicted, that alcoholics would become sober, that atheists would surrender their unbelief, that Muslims will find God speaking to them in their dreams. It's happening. Do you know that's happening all over the world? That children will return to the faith of the fathers. Heal our land. We don't just want goosebumps. We don't just want to slap each other in the back and say, boy, didn't we have good church today? Wasn't that a great worship service? No. Tired of services that we rejoice over then promptly forget about. God, I need more than a word from you, God. I need a work. I need to see the work. I need to see the thunder clap and the lightning storms of heaven, the move of the Spirit, just as you promised that Son of David, I will heal the land. I want to see God heal this land. Oh, I feel it. I feel the presence of the Lord. Are you ready? Are you ready to see that happen? I believe that. 21 days of prayer and fasting. We are calling on the name of the Lord, believing that we are going to see it happen. Thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for allowing me to stir up your pure mind and remembrance and just see some great things happen in your life. You are special. I don't care what that third grade English teacher said about you. You say, Brother Gurley, that must mean something. Yeah, my third grade English teacher told me I didn't know my handwriting was sloppy. She gave me a D in my handwriting. Of course, I appreciated her honesty, but a D? I mean, come on. Why not a C? And even a C+. But anyway, I don't care what that third grade teacher says about you. You're special. I'm glad you're here. Heal our land. Let's unite together our voices and see that happen and watch God do it. Check out the resources, kengurley.com. Facebook, like, follow. YouTube, X, subscribe. You guys are the best. Let's go see God do something amazing in our land. May the Lord be with you.
Thank you for sharing in daily devotion with Ken Gurley. We pray this ministry has been a source of encouragement and strength to you. Please be mindful that your financial support enables us to meet with you each day. To give a donation or connect with us, visit our website at kengurley.com. There you will also find the latest books, podcasts, and resources. Blessed 90 Days to Change Your World is Pastor Gurley's latest book. You can get your copy of this life-changing book at kengurley.com. May God's favor rest on you in every way. Until we meet again.